Today we're diving into South Africa. It's a country of just unbelievable beauty, incredible wealth, and a history of division that has, well, both scarred and inspired the entire world.
To really get a feel for just how unique this place is, let me start with a question for you. Can you think of the only street anywhere in the world that was home to two Nobel Peace Prize winners? The answer? It's Vilakazi Street in Soweto. It's where both Nelson Mandela and Archbishop Desmond Tutu used to live. And that right there, that fact alone perfectly captures the story of South Africa. It's a place where something absolutely extraordinary can rise up from the most difficult circumstances you can imagine.
So here's how we're going to break it all down. First, we'll look at the country's incredible superlatives. Then, we'll dig into its deep history of division, follow the tough road to reconciliation, and finally, take a look at the mosaic that makes up South Africa today.
All right, first up, the land of superlatives. And honestly, South Africa isn't just a country, it's like a showcase of our planet's extremes, all packed into one place. Let's start underground, because the country is basically a treasure chest. It has this almost unimaginable concentration of mineral wealth. I mean, to put in perspective, nearly 90% of the entire planet's platinum is found right here.
And that incredible diversity, it extends above ground too. There's a reason people call it a world in one country. You've got vast deserts, lush wetlands, huge grasslands, subtropical forests, all of it framed by these dramatic mountains and escarpments. It's just a staggering variety of landscapes.
And this theme of being the best of the best even shows up on the sports field. Think about it. So many countries are passionate about maybe one big sport. Well, South Africa is the only nation on Earth to have hosted the World Cup for soccer, cricket, and rugby.
And this is where the contrasts get really wild. They literally span time itself. On one hand, the country is known as a cradle of humankind, with fossils of our earliest modern ancestors that are over 160,000 years old. And on the other hand, it's a top spot for modern thrill seekers, with the world's highest commercial bungee jump. From ancient bones to adrenaline junkies, yeah, it's all here. But all these incredible superlatives, they're really only half the story. Because underneath all of that lies a much darker, much more painful history. One of deep, profound, and violent division.
The seeds of this conflict were sown over centuries. It really started with a simple Dutch supply station back in 1652. Later, you had the Great Trek, where Dutch-descended farmers, the Goers, moved inland to get away from British rule. By 1910, these competing areas were brought together into the Union of South Africa, but it was a union that left most people out. And then came the real turning point, 1948, when the National Party came to power and began to build its system of brutal racial segregation.
That system was called Apartheid. It's an Afrikaans word that means apartness. But this was so much more than just separation. It was a meticulously designed legal system of oppression. It controlled every single aspect of a non-white person's life, denying them not just the right to vote or own property, but their basic human dignity.
But even in those darkest of times, there was hope. This powerful quote from Archbishop Desmond Tutu just perfectly captures the spirit of the resistance. This unshakable belief that this evil system could not and would not last forever.
And that, of course, brings us to our next chapter, the road to reconciliation. This is the story of the fight to tear down apartheid and begin the incredibly difficult journey of healing a fractured nation. Now, this change didn't just happen overnight. It was the result of decades of brave resistance from people inside South Africa, combined with massive international pressure, things like economic sanctions, that finally pushed the whole system to its breaking point. The early 1990s were just a whirlwind. In 1990, the entire world watched as Nelson Mandela walked free from prison after 27 years. Just 4 years later, millions of South Africans of every race lined up for hours to vote for the very first time, electing Mandela as their president. And then, in 1995, the country did something brave and unprecedented. It created the Truth and Reconciliation Commission to confront its past, not with revenge, but with truth. And right as the nation was grappling with all this painful history, a moment of just pure joy and unbelievable unity happened on the sports field. In 1995, South Africa didn't just host the Rugby World Cup. Against all odds, they actually won it. You just can't overstate the symbolism of this moment. I mean, picture it. President Mandela, a man locked away for decades by the old government, wearing the Springbok jersey, which had been this potent symbol of white Afrikaner pride, and handing the World Cup trophy to the team's captain, Francois Pienaar. It was a message to the whole world that a new, united nation was possible.
And that dream was captured perfectly in a phrase coined by Archbishop Tutu, the Rainbow Nation. The idea wasn't to ignore all the different colors and cultures, but to celebrate them as essential parts of a single, vibrant, and unified country.
So, that was the dream. Which brings us to our final section. What does that Rainbow Nation actually look like today? Let's take a look at the modern-day mosaic of South Africa.
Well, for starters, it has 11 official languages. 11. It's just incredible. And this chart gives you a sense of that linguistic diversity. From isiZulu and isiXhosa to Afrikaans and Sesotho, the country is literally a chorus of different voices.
And that diversity is also geographic, but in a really extreme way. I mean, look at this chart. In Gauteng, the economic heartland, you have 785 people crammed into every square kilometer. But then you look at the huge Northern Cape province, and there are only 3. It's a tale of 2 completely different worlds. You see the exact same concentration when you look at the economy. It's pretty striking, actually. Just 3 of the country's 9 provinces, Gauteng, KwaZulu-Natal, and the Western Cape, are responsible for generating nearly 2/3 of the entire country's GDP.
And this is the key takeaway. These modern-day charts of language, population density, economic output, they're not random. They are a direct reflection of the country's history of segregation and division. The legacy of apartheid is still written all over the data today.
Which really leaves us with one final thought. South Africa is, without a doubt, a nation of superlatives and deep, deep scars. A place of incredible progress, but also persistent challenges. So is the Rainbow Nation a finished product? Or is it a beautiful, complex, and vital work that's still very much in the making?